I'm Britten and this is Moon to Moon. Moon to Moon is a space to consider, celebrate, and share the ways we come home to ourselves, anchor through change, and uncover our power. 1 month, one phase, one loving step at a time. Hello, Moon to Moon. I'm coming here today under this dark Scorpio moon to bring you a dark moon download in the form of a collective tarot reading. This is something that I've only done a few times on Moon to Moon, and it felt really right today. So this is a Dark Moon download. For those of you who are new to the Dark Moon download framework, since in the early days of Moon to Moon, I've been offering solo episodes that I record at the end of lunar cycles. I don't do this every lunar cycle, but I do it often. And in a lunar cycle, there's different phases. You can divide it up any number of ways. And one of the ways that I divide up the lunar cycle is that the last, say, 5 days of the whole entire 28-ish day lunar cycle is the dark moon. And so the dark moon is in reference both literally to the fact that we can't see the moon anymore because it's gotten so close to the sun. But it's technically not the new moon yet. Because at the new moon, we also can't see the moon. It's because it's with the sun. It takes a few days for us to see that first beautiful waxing crescent. To me, the dark moon period is when we are ancient to the cycle. We have learned a lot. We've seen a lot. We are able to recognize patterns of themes that we've been walking. Maybe if you pull tarot cards at the new moon, like I do, you're starting to really understand what they were saying to you at the new moon now that you've already walked the walk of the lunar cycle and you're near its end. So in this period, I often feel very full of wisdom, like pregnant with things to say, to roll through me, to share about what I've been living as a human being on planet Earth in our time. In appreciation for what feels true to me, that the personal is the collective, and all these things that we are carrying, all these things that we're going through, there are aspects to them that are very holographic through the whole field. And so when we share our stories, we are lighting things up in other people. And there's something that feels really good in that. All right. So this lunar cycle began back on November 20th at 28 degrees of Scorpio. It was my daughter's birthday. So she has got this new moon baked into her solar return for the year ahead for her 19th. She's 19, so I guess it's her 20th year. Yeah, the moon was with the sun and with Mercury, and they were opposite Uranus. So it was kind of a jolting, exciting energy. And for me, I pulled in my 11 card spread that I always do at the beginning of a lunar cycle, and then I leave out around my altar. So I check in with them every day. I pulled these 11 cards. My primary card and the contributing card were aces. Ace of Swords and Ace of Cups were my two primary cards. And then interestingly, inflected by the teacher being the Hanged Man. And then I had like 2 of Wands and I had 2 of Swords. There was this kind of picture of dichotomies. And I feel like that has been very up in the last lunar cycle, this like sense of like abundance and scarcity, feasting and fasting, like on your own, getting it done, can't do it alone. I feel like I've been bumping up against like wanting it to be one way, but it's also the opposite way at the same time, and how to make room for the vastness of polarities and oppositions in the human experience, and how that can sometimes feel paralyzing because it can bring on confusion. It can bring on this sense of like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what the truth is. Am I abundant or am I scarce? Sometimes it can feel hard to know because sometimes you feel like you're giving from an abundant place, and then you may realize like you're exhausted. Why am I so exhausted? Probably from all the giving. And then you're like, well, was I actually giving from abundance? Or was I giving from scarcity? And how do I know the difference? These types of things I feel like have been very up for me, like feeling extremely creative and expansive, and then feeling like deep in dread and feeling enclosed, like there is no expansiveness. And the kind of wobbliness around these ups and downs, these like throws, like really taking me to this place of who am I in the ups and downs? Who am I going to be for myself, whether I'm expansive or whether I'm contracting? Who am I going to be within myself, whether I feel abundant or whether I feel scarce? And kind of really rooting deeper into what are the practices that hold me when I don't even know which way it is. So all of that is a prelude. And before I get into the reading that I have for you, and before I do that, of course, for me, what I've been holding is a mix of course, meaning I'm going to share some updates. I have been holding Living Emergence now, like in its actuality, and offering some of the first types of meetups that I promised, and understanding like what it is to be having this community and allowing it to become what it is, and giving everyone and this space itself sovereignty to be with what wants to come through emergently there, and also attuning to it to serve it if it needs something from me. And working with my team who is helping me pull this off, because this cannot be a one-person show, living emergence. Like my business is now in a place where, like, if one of my arms got cut off, like if people just suddenly weren't there anymore helping me, like, what would I do? You know, like, my business is now extended so much beyond myself that, like, there's just like such an open trust that's had to happen in order for it to keep growing and for it to become the things that I'm visioning, that I, like, can't do the whole thing myself. You can't put on productions by yourself, you know? We need to cooperate, collaborate, co-create, conspire with one another for these big productions, like in show business. And, you know, I'm feeling very much how, like, for me, Scorpio is an 8th house space. You know, it's the vulnerability of what I'm sharing with others and what I'm allowing others to take part of with me, like where I am, like, in a kind of reciprocity that creates, like, indebtedness and the vulnerability of these contracts. And I want that. I mean, I'm calling it in. I want to experience creativity that extends beyond myself, where I can't see everything all at once even, and I can't control everything for sure. And I'm wanting maximum empowerment and joyful creativity and fountain of genius for each person, bringing in their own gifts, so that I understand that things can feel so much bigger when I let in the beyond me. And that's like a wild thing, you know, it's a wild thing to have your, like, arms and heart stretched out that open. And just trusting everything that's coming through, trusting everyone who's showing up to Living Emergence to, like, consume this space I gave you that I've created as to your delights. And I don't really want to be in charge of how you use it. You know, like, this house is huge and I can't be in every room all at once monitoring everyone. And that's how I want it. But it's kind of wild, right? Because I haven't experienced this before. So, it's like, I sort of feel like I'm being, like, I've kind of, like, opened myself up to be, like, eaten off of in a way. Really, like, I've, like, opened myself up to be eaten off of, even as, of course, I'm eating off those who come in, because they are paying me from their vulnerable place, which is their, like, cash, you know, it's their finances. It's also 8th house, right? And also I am laying myself down to be eaten off of, because I'm sharing so much of my body of work in there, both past and present, future. And it's just like, come eat at the table I've made for you. It's wild. Yeah. Is it abundant or is it scarce? Whew. Okay. So let's go. The primary card that I pulled for us, and I pulled it for me too. This is a tarot reading for me at the dark moon, as well as it is for all of us. I pulled the Princess of Swords, which is like Page of Swords. And there's this wonderful picture here of this figure like cutting into this air that looks like there's like dust and rubble and chaos, and it's hard to see clearly. It's really hard to see clearly. And for me, I always see this card as a very kind of Uranian card of like cutting through the noise to get to clarity, of like kind of working with distortions, working with illusions, working with many perspectives, working with dying temples, falling altars, systems that are crumbling, and viewpoints that are crumbling, like templates that have chosen to be destroyed. And being in the business of that, and it's like sometimes it can feel like an inner battle. Sometimes you can feel like you're in a battle with the viewpoints of the people around you, and you just want them to see what you are, what you see. Like there's this kind of struggle. But to me, this card is always a liberatory experience of clearing, like trying to get things clear here. And so it's fascinating and feels very appropriate then that the clarifying card for that is Eight of Swords, which is known in the Thoth deck here as interference. And so the Eight of Swords, it's a Jupiter card. Jupiter Gemini is what I have in my chart. To me, when we have interference, it can feel really annoying. Like I find Eight of Swords to be very uncomfortable because we just don't feel clear. It's like we're thinking that we're coming to like clarity, but then we're like, oh, but then there's this other way to look at it too. Which one should I do to be the right thing? It can feel like, which can feel so uncomfortable. And of course, this is connected to unshaming. Like unshaming confusion is a key unshaming of my life as a very Neptunian person, a Piscean person, a mutable person. My whole life, I have felt like coming into lack of clarity or states of confusion is the signal that I'm like just not mature enough, or like I just probably can't take care of myself. That like I really should cede my authority to these other people who know what they're doing because they seem really certain about things, And it wasn't until midlife, as I took on the magical mystical path, that I began to understand that mystery is very life affirming, alive. It actually is what there is. We don't know the future. That magic really happens as we get comfortable with uncertainty and we learn how to hold ourselves through like that chaotic feeling of, I just don't know today what the answer is. And so to me, Eight of Swords, because it's connected to Jupiter, there's still this kind of like, there's still this space to trust that like the answer is coming. It's coming. It's just not here today. It's just not here in this moment. It might even be here later today. So it feels like this invitation right now into trust is what's really needed, and to trust that like we are moving towards our own knowing, and we may not have the clearest path. We may have to take a leap, like if we run into a deadline where we have to choose, we're just going to have to trust that we're just leaping into the most appropriate timeline. These ideas of good choice, bad choice are from shame culture. Like it's so sweet and it's so sincere. It's really, really, really cute and adorable of us that we want to make the right choice, That is coming from a sweet place. And the fear that's around it is related to the shame. The fear that if we are to make, that there is such a thing as a wrong choice that is going to be shameful. Now, that's different from I regret that choice, and like when we have deep regret over the choices we made. Because regret is related to grief to me. I teach this in Unshaming Your Chart. which starts on Wednesday, the 17th. We have our 2-hour initiation. Then there's a 3-week break to dive into the materials, take your time, be on holiday, and we really get into it in January. So I hope you will come if you're called in, because it's a life-changing course. It's so unique, and it will transform your life and transform your relationship to choices that you feel are like somehow shaming you, as if you could make a wrong choice. Grief is different than shame. So it feels like here at the end of this cycle, there's this energy that we've been learning around, like dichotomies and choices, and the overwhelm, really, of I just want to make the right choice. I just want to make the right choice. I don't want to make a wrong choice. And just how paralyzing that fear can be, so that we end up just not doing anything. And then we feel shame over that. So what I love about the Princess of Swords is it's an energy of like, just get into it. Like, just begin to cut through somewhere. To cut through is to make some choices. Just like remove some things out of the way. The teacher here to help us is the Knight of Wands, which in this deck is like King of Wands in other decks. It's a very dynamic, fiery card that is inviting us into just the dynamism of our passions. And I think for me, what really helps with this one is just like when we get into those mental swords places where we don't know, it helps to get out of that element, like get out of the element of air and get into the element of fire. Let your passion take you. Let what turns you on take you. Let what you're excited about take you. Like, watch your energy. What does your energy want to leap toward? And if it's a binary and you hate both of them, is there a third way? Can your passions show you, well, what I really wish it was this? And like, raw, like, let some part of you like show you that there's a doorway here. Actually, it's made up of like the juice of what turns you on. This is the way, and this is the teacher. This is the teacher when we feel paralyzed between dichotomies, choices, binaries, situations where we're just like, I'm at a crossroads and I just don't know what to do. Like, fire is the element to get into, because fire is nonverbal, but it's connected to your spirit. Letting your spirit lead the way. Letting the spirit lead the way. We can't go wrong, Like, the spirit is honest. So that's some really sweet advice. The root of this situation is 3 of Swords, which is sorrow in this deck. To me, this is like kind of the heart of it, like the 3 of Swords, like to me really takes us to the heart of it. Like, the heart of it is grief. The heart of this is shame. The heart of this is like the deep stuff. The deep stuff. This is the stuff that we metabolize in Unshaming Your Chart. This is what we metabolize in all of living emergence. It's those deeper places where, like, underneath the surface of I just don't know what to do, there's a deeper thing. And the deeper thing is where the heart is hurting, where we're hurting at some level. And there's like a younger part of us that wants our attention. And what I found is that everything in my life just moves with more flow when I'm not resisting meeting myself in these places. it makes sense that we resist. This is like the paradox, right? I mean, this whole lunar cycle to me is so much about paradox. Like the paradox is we're resisting because like we don't have time. I don't have time for this shit. I got to deal with the holidays. Like I don't have time for this shit. I got to get this stuff done before the end of the year. I don't have time for this shit, And so we're resisting. But it's like, do you realize like how much more easeful this would be if you just take a minute to check in with the part of you who's hurting? You feel the inflammations, like you feel the irritations, you feel the stuff that are the symptoms. Just give it a second and watch how your life begins to flow. And now you are able to make the choice. Now you are able to see the pathway. Now you are able to move forward, feeling less like you're in an inner battle with yourself. And just like the energy stuff that creates, the way it keeps us up in the middle of the night, like all that stuff that's not fun is us resisting being with ourselves. And just because I teach on this doesn't mean I'm also not a human being who, doesn't want to deal with it. It's like, I don't want to be with you right now. But see, that's like, to me, when I'm saying that, because that's saying that to yourself, I don't want to be with you right now. And when I'm in an automated like state, because I'm just like getting things done or whatever, then that's when I'm able to abandon myself, actually. And once I start abandoning myself, things start to get really wonky for me, because being attuned to myself is how everything in my life flows, which is what we do in Living Emergence and Unshaming Your Chart. So come on in if this feels like, if you're ready to surrender resistance, and meet yourself. So we've been moving from to we've been moving towards. We're moving from right now, 5 of discs. Shocking, not shocking. 5 of discs, known as worry in the Thoth deck. 5 of discs is like very contracted, scarce, anxiety, like body, like kind of somatic contraction, everything feeling hard, everything feeling difficult. It's hard to see spaciousness. It's hard to feel connected to your abundance. It's kind of an everything feels hard card. And then we're moving into Prince of Cups, which is like Knight of Cups and other decks. And so to me, this is like we're learning how to go into the flow of our emotional life. This card in this deck is very closely related to Scorpio, which is where we had our new moon, and like being with the feelings. It's like being a human being who can be with the feelings and stay close to them, stay close to the feeling realm. And that's going to have its ups and downs. It's going to mean moving up and down with them. But this is a case of, rather than hyper vigilance and struggle, we're moving into flow, even if it has its ups and downs. How we may feel, like what we're being called to feel right now, is 8 of Pentacles, 8 of Discs, here known as prudence. This one is associated with Sun and Virgo. To me, this feels like it's inviting us to get find the rhythm of our devotions that feel good. Get back in. You kind of have to like get back in. Like for me, if I haven't like recorded a solo episode or recorded a reading for someone or like gone into like trance teaching state for a few days, I will start to feel far away from myself because my devotions are connected to my voice being a channel, I guess channel is the word. I'm seeing like riverway, for like something to come through, like love to come through, wisdom to come through, like I have my own ways with devotion and my own ways of returning to myself and my own ways to like get back into the rhythm when I've been thrown out of it. We get thrown out of it through traveling. We get thrown out of it through overgiving to other people. We get out of our rhythm from holidays where or times when we're like suddenly back with people from our past when we didn't have these devotions and we didn't know ourselves as well. All of those things can be up right now, So, but all it really takes is just scoot back in, like scoot back into your rhythm, the rhythm of being connected to your devotions and the things that help you return to yourself, all those small mundane ways that we tend to our life, tend to our bodies, tend to the things that we like to be devoted to. We just scoot right back into that rhythm and then we're like, yes, there it is. There's me. There I am. There I am in my devotions. And in my devotions, I understand the flow. It's just the rhythm of day in and day out, being here, being with what I love, doing what I love, connecting to love. Showing up in the world. We're invited to show up in the world as Knight of Cups, which is like King of Cups and other decks. So we have two knights here. Very exciting dynamic energy this time with water. And to me, this is like, when it comes up for me, it's saying a lot about the craft and art of speaking that heals and transforms, coming into love, coming into love frequency, coming into presence with love, coming into presence with feelings of attunement and in attunement, feeling like your own connectedness to your powers there, to your gifts that are there for you always, and channeling them through your being beyond you. Like allowing yourself to be a conduit is another word I was looking for, a conduit for love and presence that heals and transforms. This is through attunement of really like not being so busy that you can't see someone, including yourself. So this feels like it's a call here at the end of the lunar cycle to return to the attuned presence that your heart always knows for you. We can return to attunement every time we land back in the moment, and we can be present to what is going on inside of us and what is going on around us. The hope and fear that I'm seeing here in this spread is fortune, which is Wheel of Fortune. This is that ups and downs piece. Like we're wanting abundance, but the wheel is turning, like, am I lucky? Oh, well, I don't know. The wheel is turning, To me, fortune does not mean fortune, good fortune. It means the roll. It means the roll of the wheel. It's being alive, being with the fact that we can't see what's next in the story, being with like whatever's coming up. Could we really say that it's good or bad? Well, we don't know what's next in the story, because we're with what's here today, we actually can't know what's next in the story. And who am I going to be with myself through every single day, no matter what is coming up? That is the skill of fortune. We have a fortune year coming in 2026. The ability to be with yourself no matter what comes up is the heart of unshaming, because unshaming is not saying you're going to be free from pain again. It's not saying you will never feel contracted again. It's not saying you won't ever feel confused again. Unshaming is saying, I will be with myself no matter what comes up. And because I know I am going to be with myself, everything's going to be okay. Like, that's the gift, is that everything being okay becomes an internal state rather than something that is reliant on other people, on the market, on outcomes and results beyond yourself to assure for you. Okay, then there's 2 more cards. There's a macro energy at play here, and it's the Hanged Man. Same card as this teacher at the beginning of my lunar cycle. It feels very true that this is connected to that there's a lot that's shifting right now. Like, timelines are different. 2025 was a major year. And a lot of what we've been learning is surrender. And here at the end of the year, here at the end of this lunar cycle, our relationship to surrender is so important. Surrender is a skill. It's a skill that you practice. Some of us may feel more like naturally surrendering, like 12th house Pisces people with lots of Neptune transits or Neptune aspects. Transits as well. Yeah, Pisces and Neptune help us with surrender, but that too has been a skill that I've had to develop, because there's ways in which we can surrender that are not empowering. There are ways we can surrender that are not trusting. And there are ways we can surrender which are not loving or attuned to ourselves in the moment. And so for me, what I've had to learn is can I see my capacity to surrender and be surrendering as an empowering skill, as a self-loving skill, as an attuned skill, as a skill with impacts on our world that feel important. How is surrendering part of co-creation? How is surrendering part of action? How is surrendering part of creation? These are important questions. Surrendering does not have to mean you lose. Surrendering doesn't have to mean game over. Surrendering doesn't have to feel like loss. It is a skill. And I'm very into this skill, and I'm very interested in teaching this skill. For surrender to be a skill, I would say we have to be in a multi-dimensional relationship with ourselves. And a multi-dimensional relationship with ourselves is what we do in mysticism. And this is a mystical skill set that I offer in all of my spaces, especially, I would say, emergence astrology program, living emergence, including Unshaming Your Chart. So if you are I'm terrible at surrender, I'm terrified of surrender, I don't want surrender, I'm resisting surrender. If you have all those relationships with surrender, which would be completely normal, I would love to be of support to you and offer the tools and the skills to begin to see surrender as part of your magic. or it doesn't have to feel like failure, loss, or lack. All right. And finally, we now have the outcome card, and I have adjustment, which in other decks is known as justice. It's a Libra card. And this is really fascinating for me because, as I said in my new moon spread, I had 2 of Swords and 2 of Wands, which are both kind of like holding a 2, which definitely this card is about like holding betweens. And then also my prophecy portal reading from Shahir, who was on Moon to Moon a couple episodes ago and who just last night taught a class on omens in Living Emergence. My December card is Justice, which is the same as this card, Adjustment. So what this is saying to me here as an outcome card is like we're actively in the art of balancing paradox, polarity. We're in the art of being at crossroads, of being between our choices, of understanding, like, is it abundance or is it scarcity? Like, when we're holding these different facets of ourselves, when we're holding our squares and oppositions from a chart perspective, we're navigating like some part of us that doesn't know how we can do both at the same time, be both at the same time, show up in different ways at the same time. So once again, a multidimensional, many self pathway is the way, at least for me, to be able to understand like how complex and multi I am and how multidimensional experience is, and where do I find that balance between all these different parts of me so that they all have a place at the table of myself. And then who gets to decide what we do amongst these like arguing, shaming, judging parts of me. And I feel like with this card, like we're really like trying to locate our own sense of integrity. Ultimately, the sword of justice is connected to our spine, which is this sense of just like, who am I in the middle of the scales? Understanding like my own compass for right and wrong, my own sense of like, these are my values. This is how I want to live. This is what will feel best on my heart. You know, when I really look back and I weigh out how I lived through this time, the way that I'm going to be the most proud of is the way that's the lightest on my heart. And here I'm directly referencing Ma'at, the Egyptian goddess from ancient Egyptian cosmology, who was part of the weighing of the soul or the heart of the deceased after death, where the heart was measured against a feather. And the idea is to live your life in such a way that your heart is light. Your heart feels light. And for me, unshaming has been crucial to like lightening my heart and not feeling so weighed down by the heavy-heartedness. The heavy-heartedness is back in that 3 of Swords that's at the root of all this. A lighter heart is, I think, what we're all really going for in life, you know? Especially as I get older and I see how that's really what abundance is. Yes, financial freedom is fucking amazing. Yes, having like full spaces, people wanting to come participate in my stuff is amazing. And everything has to be measured against my heart. And that comes from this sense of integrity of like, how am I living? And when things get really confusing, or we don't know what to do, and we don't know how to understand reality, we don't even know whose story do I believe within the constellation of all the different me's that there are, much less other people's opinions of me. How do we know like which to believe, or what's the truth? To me, the truth is measured against the weight of our heart. And to be living in integrity is that, which only we can't rely on other people to know what that answer is for us. The scary, hard part about it, and why Saturn is exalted in Libra, is because we're the only ones that can make these choices. We're the only ones that can know ourselves that way. So this was kind of a deep one. Thank you for being here with me. I hope that this was supportive to you here at the end of this lunar cycle before the new moon in Sag, Friday night, the 19th, which happens to also be the day that 3i Atlas is going to be closest to the Earth. You may remember my episode with Xenia Verret from early November on 3i Atlas. That story is continuing. If you are hoping to come into Unshaming Your Chart and you're just unsure about this decision, I'm hoping that your heart will lead you there. It's such a beautiful space, and it is an extremely healing space. Extreme healing alert. Extreme healing alert. Yeah, it really is. It's very magical and opening and unfolding, and it offers you life skills to be able to continue to navigate into more of that spaciousness and lightness and empowerment for the rest of your life, with your chart helping you, because we're involving astrology here. It's not just a course on unshaming, it's unshaming your chart. So your chart is going to be your partner, your chart is your partner in this pathway. If you're listening to this after we've already begun, you can still dive in. We don't meet again a second time until into sometime in January. So there's plenty of time to hop on in if you missed it. And I am so looking forward to it. Sending everyone lots of love and care and rest amidst the chaos. And I hope this was supportive to you. Let me know. Cheers.